We shall start with the big news that was breaking last night, and that was coming from Alfredo Badula, and he was talking about Inter Milan striker Lautaro Martinez. Obviously, we know Lautaro Martinez well after last summer with our failed attempt, and he reports that Tottenham will present a bid for Lautaro Martinez worth up to 90 million euros to Inter Milan. However, the report also does say that Martinez does want to stay at any cost, and Inter Milan do want to keep him. Longari follows off the back of that story, saying Lautaro strongly wants to stay. Tottenham will make an important offer to Inter Milan for the striker, and it'll be up to Inter and Lautaro whether they accept. He has a release clause reportedly of 105 million euros. So no, not too far away from a potential transfer offer that apparently we're willing to pay for him 90 million euros. For me, as much as I'd love Lautaro to come, as much as I think he's an unbelievable striker, and I think he puts real pressure on our forward options if he does arrive at Tottenham, and I would love him through the door. And I think a 90 million fee would be a serious statement of ambition of what we want to do this summer. I do find it hard to believe that this deal does get done, especially with Lautaro only last October signing a new 5-year deal. I don't see him wanting to go anywhere. They're obviously challenging for league titles consistently at the moment, 3 years in a row now. Obviously winning one 2 seasons ago. He's been instrumental with that. He'll probably be, with the talks of Lukaku coming back to Inter Milan, he should be licking his lips at that possibility of that return to the link-up they had when they won the league 2 years ago. The fact that he doesn't want to leave, the fact that Inter Milan potentially are going to make it hard for us to buy him and not going to push him out the door. I mean, unless we break his release clause and then give him so much money that he has to say yes, I don't really see this deal coming to fruition.
So the one thing you got to add on that as well is they're trying to bring Dybala in as well.
That's also true.
So if they bring in Dybala, there's 2 strikers coming in. They may... We're looking and they're saying that we want Bastoni and it's the money, but they may want to keep their defence intact. And if they bring in 2 new attackers, then Martinez becomes easier to get out the door, obviously, and will bring in a bigger fee. I love the player. I'm like you. I don't think this one gets over the line. As much as I'd love to see him at the club, I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, I think there are too many things going against the deal. I mean, if it is true, apparently, reportedly, by the way, this morning, the deal, according to Sport Italia, had the bid was rejected. I don't know how true that is, the £90 million bid, and that is true. Are we going to go much higher? Although on the flip side, would we be stupid not to go higher, considering if we're willing to pay up to 90 million? Would we be stupid not to just go the extra 15 million euros and break the release clause and then really put pressure on them to see if he would really come?
Yeah, I mean that's the way I would look at it as well. If you've got 90 million and it's going to cost 105 to get him out of it, you may as well push the boat out and go for it. We tried this last year, didn't we? And obviously it fell through. Whatever happened. And now this has come around again. And if you want to make a true statement signing, this would be it, wouldn't it? It really would. A fantastic player. He would be incredible in the Premier League. But also, one of the things I heard is, and Ben Kaufman was talking about it as well, he's bought quite a bit of property in Milan. And apparently Milan have very, very strict rules about people, only residents and Italian people living in Italy can own the property. So unless he changes it into a different name, that could be another part of the part where he says he's in love with Italy, isn't he? A lot of the Italians or Italian people in Serie A, are loving life in Italy, aren't they?
They are. And Skriniar says he would want to stay into Milan forever. He says he wants to become a legend. Bastoni, wants to stay there. So who are they going to sell? They really need to sell.
Exactly.
Maybe the situation's been exaggerated because they did get a lot of money last summer for the likes of Lukaku, for the likes of Hakimi. They got like nearly 200 million just for those 2 players. So is it? I mean, we keep hearing reports of their skint and they need to and they need to sell and they need to make a profit of X amount. But I mean, if all these players are desperate to stay and they're not going to push any of them out the door, then I mean, do they have to push one of them out the door? I don't know. It looks like Skriniar's most likely at the moment to go to PSG, but I don't know what the real situation is because I remember one summer. there were wide reports that Arsenal had no money and Arsenal was skint, and they didn't have European football, and then they went out and spent big money on Pepe and big money on these ones out of nowhere. I mean, obviously it didn't work out well for them. But I'm just saying sometimes reports can be exaggerated about how skint a club can be.
No, that is true, but I think with Inter Milan there is a need to get the books balanced. It might not be as severe as we think it is, but I think it will come to a point where they will push one out the door. Then it's just down to us, obviously, or whatever team they sell to for whatever player, to make sure they can match the wage demands or personal demands of the incoming player for that team. I think Inter will have to get rid of someone, but I don't know if it's as severe as they're making it out to be.
Yeah, and also in terms of him in the team coming to Tottenham as well. Obviously, we have the Conte factor, so he was brilliant under Conte, so that's one thing going in our favour. But here at the moment, he's a star at Inter Milan. He's starting every week. He's the main man there. They absolutely love him there, and he's the team is like almost built around him. Tottenham, if he comes to Tottenham, he's going to have to fight for his place big time with the likes of Kane and Son battling out for him. He's not going to be a guaranteed starter every week. I'm not saying he's going to find minutes hard to come by, because I don't agree with that. But I do think he won't be as much of a nailed-on starter as he is at Inter Milan. So and there's not an obvious place for him in the team as much as there is at Inter Milan. So maybe that also one thing that would swayed him deciding to not come to Tottenham in that favour. Because if he went to someone like, for example, if he went to Chelsea, he knows there's a place for him in the team. Lukaku's going, that slot's there, he's 100% starting pretty much. But at Spurs, it's like I know, I'm not saying Kulusevski's better than him, but we have Kulusevski, Son and Kane. He's not much of doesn't want to play off the right. He can sometimes play on the left, but that's not his natural position. So then it just leaves Kane position. And then in the biggest games, like if we have a cup final, is he definitely going to get the nod? Like, we don't know. And unless we play a 3-5-2, then he probably partners Kane. But then where does that leave Son? Left wing back? He can't be doing that. So
we've seen that before, haven't we?
So it's a difficult one in terms of. Obviously, I want him, and I think it really shows ambition to get him through the door, because obviously we're going to have a lot of games next season. I just think maybe in this situation, unlike someone like Richarlison, where even though there might not be a clear space for him, coming to Tottenham represents an upgrade for his career, because he's got Champions League football, he's playing with better players. Well, Lautaro Martinez, as much as, Inter Milan are a massive team, a massive club, big stadium, massive fan base, probably a bigger club than Tottenham. So it doesn't represent a massive step up in terms of a career move, enough to the extent where he would give up maybe what he has at Inter Milan to come to Tottenham to fight for his place. But I might be wrong, but that's how I see it.
No, I'm pretty much bang on with you. We see a lot of people come to the league because they just want to play in the Premier League. How many people do you hear saying, I've always wanted to play in the Premier League? The Premier League's the best league in the world. Well, Martinez it seems to be delightfully happy at Inter. If he does come, like you said, he's definitely not a first teamer, but does he want to come and have a bit of competition? I know you've been the star at your club and you're the darling of the club, but do you want to try and see if you can do it elsewhere? That could be a factor. But I think if you're to weigh up all the pros and cons in Martinez's head, I think he still favours at Milan. It would have to take a stupid wage to come here, and let's face it, I would imagine Kane is on a match the highest payer, same as Lloris probably, so that's two people you'd be raising their salaries as well as Martinez. I'm like you. I think the Richarlison one has got a lot more legs than this one. Would I prefer Martinez? Yes. Do I think it will
He's
get
a better
done?
player, obviously, but
much better. But I think, like you've been saying with the evidence you've been providing me all week, Richarlison seems like the one that's got more legs to it, I would say, in this transfer saga.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
And also, he's pretty much, we're paying double pretty much, aren't we?
Yep.
For Martinez than we are Richarlison. And as much, you could argue he's twice the player. I don't know if he's that much better than him, but he definitely is a better player. But do I really see us paying 90 million? I don't know. That's nearly 100 million for a player that's not a guaranteed starter. Are we really going to do that? But it's difficult, because unless you do that, because of the quality we have, unless you do that, there's always going to be a massive drop-off in quality when you rest Kane or Son.
The other thing I will say about this, and let's just say he is available at 105 million. What's that work
Euros.
out? £90 million or
Something about £90 million.
£90 million. We've apparently only got that 150. Obviously, there's Champions League money and money
plus
coming
player
in.
sales and
Of course, we've got that. But would I rather see a huge chunk of it go on Martinez, or we get in, let's say, a Spence, Richarlison, and maybe near the tail end a Bastoni with the income? I'd rather pick that 3 than like splurge out massively, especially in this position. This position, yes, we've got the top 2 as in Son and Kane, and we've got Kulu, but we need a bit of steel in there, and then money for other areas. So I wouldn't want to blow a huge chunk of this on a striker. If it was a left centre back, then yes, because I think that's where we need open heart surgery in that defence.
I feel like I just think there's too many things going against this deal logically that I just can't see it getting done. A lot of people saying it's just press nonsense and stuff like that, which is could very well be the case. I think maybe the fact that we were in for him so heavily last summer, and now that we didn't even have Conte then, and now we do have Conte, maybe people are obviously, or journalists are thinking, well, surely Tottenham are going to be back in for Lautaro Martinez this summer. But I mean, we might well be. I think it's very unlikely. So I wouldn't get too excited about this one happening. But I guess the fact that we potentially are making a bid is something to know, and definitely is an exciting proposal. And who knows, maybe Inter Milan will turn around and say, yeah, let's do it. And if that happens, what a signing we can have on our hands.